again, my name is Adina Arhira and I am so happy to host Madhu Einsiedler's insightful series Improvisations on Growth. I would like to introduce to you the third episode of the 4-part podcast series tackling the topic of being right. How many levels of being right are there? Is there a difference between a person being right and a company being right? What if I told you that being right and objectification have common ground? How? Listen to the podcast and find out. I can see that more and more companies, especially the bigger ones, they do see this. They do see. But if you ask me, it's a fake awareness. Why? Because they can understand, they're getting smarter in the sense of what you're saying. Every person is different. Let them choose their path. But ultimately, still bring me the money, Because if you see companies like Google, like Apple, and there have been some really good movies around with showcasing, for example, how they have games on campus, like in the offices, how they try to create this perception of like, we care about the people, we need to stimulate their creativity, we need to give them this freedom. Everything is covered. They have the money. Their families are invited to our events. But ultimately, if you ask me, it's still like, okay, you still need to deliver. If you're not bringing this company money and we're not growing, and to me, that makes it fake out of the bat. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm not saying I'm right to feel like that. Because again, if I were to have a business, yes, I would want to make money, so I get it. And I'm not bringing this up in the sense of, exactly like you were saying, it's right or wrong. It's just something that's happening to look at. What are your thoughts?
I think you're spot on. And for me, the key word here is objectification.
The person becomes like a means of, how do we say it, a mode to means. The person is always something that should help the company reach something. So it becomes like an object.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the tricky thing here is, I think, and especially today in our current society, also with the social media around, I think we are so used to objectify ourselves. So we treat ourselves as an object, and an object must function. And usually you have some rules how to make an object function. And so apply the rules, and then the object functions, and then it does what it needs to be doing. So it gets you the results. And for me, this is the thinking that we are now applying to awareness. The businesses in our thinking is so creative that even awareness, creativity, flow, we use these terms and also the techniques as a means to an end. So just as a rule to objectify. So this is how you need to treat the object human resource. And when you apply all those rules and they are proven right, then the object human resource will eventually deliver the results they're supposed to deliver.
Of course, it's all about, speaking of money, I personally feel it just comes down to money, because the object could also be a liability. So if something goes wrong in the functioning, and I'm using quotation marks for functioning, right? So if something goes wrong and the wire is disconnected, because what you're telling me is actually like treating people like robots ultimately. So if a wire is not in its place, the robot becomes a liability. And if it ticks off, and of course, human resources needs to always watch for this. And it's even more objectifying. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the core, I mean, there are studies out there that at least our Western society, has never been more depressed than we are right now.
I was
So,
just going
so
to
the
say, I'm like, I feel so sad, honest, like all of a sudden. Like,
it is. So it's like the number of depressions just went up. These are research numbers, and we can see that. I mean, mental health is a topic right now. Fortunately, we are now able to talk about it, and somehow for me, this is linked to how we treat people and how people have learned to treat themselves. They have learned to treat themselves as objects. But that also means that it's a matter of, yeah, it's a matter of right or wrong, and not of exploring my living system, living and moving and always unfolding and growing system.
I also feel like anything that has to do with the care for the mental health, so to speak, of the object is seen as weakness, especially in the business world. If you show any sign of emotion, it's you're already catered as not strong enough for the business world. Like, oh, you're too green. I've heard that. I've heard that a lot, in the sense of you're too honest, you're too naive, you're too this and that. And again, I'm starting to feel that sadness. Why has it come to this? Why has it come to associating weakness with simply wanting to care for the human life ultimately? That's how I see it. Because the moment we continue objectifying and acting like robots, we might as well in 10 years, you know how you see those futuristic movies, we just get a chip implant in our brains and that's it. We can call it, we can just go extinct. I don't, I'm overreacting, but just to make the point.
I think we probably can tie it back to the industrialization and you know the first assembly lines, and Adam Smith, who broke down the work in small pieces so that he can put people after people after people.
I think the wars had to do with this. Kind of started around the period of the world wars because they needed to get things done fast.
And then I think the next part, I mean, we had a part of like after the world wars, where the impact of what we are capable of doing to each other, where we still felt the impact. So after the wars, at least over here in Europe, we had something that I would consider as an opening up, like it's the flower power, the hippie kind of decay.
Weakness. You see, I'm sorry I'm interrupting, but I need to make that point. When you say someone is a hippie, the connotation these days is like, oh, it's a flu.
No,
I think I made that, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally know. And I see it as so a space opened up. And then in the 80s, the neoliberalism came in, and we somehow turned our focus to market, to money, and the myth was that the market will just regulate everything. So the market is the solution for everything. And I think right now we have the chance to realize that that's not true, because what is happening is the market objectifies everything. And in objectifying us, it basically kills our heart and soul. And this is what we see in the depression numbers. And I think it's like right now I see like both trends there. The one is, okay, we need to stick to the market and we need to go further with the objectification. So in 10 years, we have the chip in our heads. And the other trend is, no, we need to make room for us humans again, because we are not only killing our world, our earth, but we are killing ourselves. And this is maybe not physically, but we are killing ourselves psychologically. So as long as we feel insecure, psychologically insecure, we need, and we feel psychologically insecure when we objectify ourselves, or objectifying ourselves kind of supports our psychological insecurity. So I think this is a vicious circle there. The more I objectify myself, the more I need to look to the outside for justification and verification, and I need for guidelines to which I can comply to and to which I can function to. And I think this vicious circle we need to break. Yeah, and fit in, exactly. So I have the attention on the outside. Where can I fit in, and where can I turn myself into an object? So do you want to have a square or rather a rectangle? And I'm shaping myself into this, instead of putting the attention towards myself and trying to discover what kind of shapes I can be and bring this shape into the world, because this is really what enhances and supports our human life.
You know how they say that the road to hell is paved with good intentions? I almost feel like out of the intention of being so right, we lost track of how wrong we've become. What would it take to bring that awareness back and to produce a shift, if a shift is even possible? Because the mechanism is really strong, and like you're saying, to function, you do need to fit in. You do need to be aligned with the general idea of being right, unfortunately, because otherwise one does risk of standing out not in the good way, and I'm putting good in quotation marks. How do we make this choice? Do we even have a choice?
First thing is to feel the pain that it costs us to fit in. So when I go back to your saying, so we try to be so right, and yet we are so wrong. I would almost rephrase it. So in trying to be so right, we have shut down really important parts of ourselves so that we don't feel the pain. So we don't feel and the pain is the price that we are paying for fitting in, for being right, for shaping ourselves to exactly the shape that the outside wants. And eventually the pain then goes underground and turns into depression, for example. But that's just an example. There's sometimes the pain goes so deep that people really don't feel it and feel like they're having a happy, perfect life. And that's good also. But what I tried to say is, so to answer your question, it is really up to each one of us that we learn to feel the price, the pain that we are really afflicting to ourselves, not even to others, but to ourselves. So, and I tie it back to business. So I'm in a business situation, and there's like this meeting with my supervisors, and I know I'm not supposed to contradict or make an additional suggestion to what my supervisor is saying, because they might not like this. And then there's a situation, and I do have an idea, and I want to share it, and I think that it's contributing, and I think it's enriching and meaningful. But then my fear kicks in, and I'm holding it back, and to make me feel what it cost me to hold it back. And once I allow myself this feeling, this will start to change like everything within myself, because eventually I feel that it costs me more than the fear. And then eventually I'm like, okay, I don't mind the fear. I'm just going ahead and say this in the most appreciative way and express myself. And I don't mean as an object as we see on Instagram to express yourself, but really my genuine idea. So it's also trust. I need to trust myself that I can, okay, this is an idea I have. It might be helpful. It might not be helpful, but I don't need to attach my identity to it.
Also, maybe be prepared for negative feedback.
Sure.
We have to take that into consideration too, right?
And to experience that it's not killing me. You know, when I'm in a coaching situation, I always put out, okay, this is an hypothesis, this is an idea. Tell me if this is helpful to you or not. This is how I address my clients. And then I put out ideas, and then they say, nah, that's not me. I don't see myself like this. Okay, fine. Then we just throw it away. I'm not in a position to be right about my clients. It's their responsibility to find what is true for themselves, and this is what I help them to find, their inner truth. And the magic is, once I found my inner truth, the urge to be right just vanishes. Because, you know, I found the own ground I can stand on. And the inner truth is not hinged on facts.
It's like telling a tree you're wrong. It's like you cannot tell a tree you're wrong. The tree is a tree.
Yeah, exactly. And I am who I am. And isn't there this old song, I am who I am, and I'm from the 70s. There we are again. There's the hippie time again. I guess I'm my old soul was a hippie once.
Wow.
And this is beyond right or wrong. So as long as we need to cling to right or wrong, it just leads us really down the road of objectification, and the price is just really high. The price is just really high.
Thank you for exploring with us even further the concept of being right. Is there an absolute truth or an absolute right? Should we even aim at that? Perhaps the answers are not that easy to formulate, but we sure hope we have created food for thought and opened the doors to more discussions. Please share your ideas with Madhu either by emailing her directly at madhu@einsiedler.at or engaging on her social media on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter.